Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Spotlight Games podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Patrick Schweigert, and I'm joined by my co-host, Cayman. How are you, Cayman?
Doing fantastic, Patrick. How about yourself?
I am well, but I am excited. I'm overjoyed. I'm thrilled to introduce our very first guest, friend of ours, Michael Santiago from the Gamers University podcast. Michael, how are you? And thank you for joining.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Cayman. I'm so excited to be here. It's actually my first time being a guest on a show. This is awesome. It's like a milestone.
We're breaking ground here. Well, let's do some quick housekeeping and then jump right in. So, as we start each of our episodes, we'd love it if you would rate the podcast, review the podcast. And now that we're on YouTube, we'd really love it if you go to YouTube, search Spotlight Games Podcast to give us a subscription. Ring the bell, I'm supposed to say, so you get notified when we do new videos. And if you want to be on the show, if you want to write in, send in questions, you can DM us on Instagram at Spotlight Games Podcast. You can DM us on Twitter at Spot Games Pod, or you can shoot us an email, mail@spotlightgames.net. With that out of the way, let's jump into how we start each of our episodes, which is with what we're playing. Michael, I'd love to start with you as our guest. Michael, what you been playing lately?
Oh, awesome. So I've been playing a variety of games. I love all types, whether it's PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, PC. I've grown up loving all games. I'm not like only about one. So I've been all over the place. To be honest, I've been playing a lot of Game Pass, which is excellent, right?
For sure.
Yeah, so like Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Hell yeah.
I'm wetting my feet with that. It's awesome. Ichiban is a great character. He wants to be an amazing hero, and he talks about Dragon Quest. It's very meta. It's awesome.
You're speaking my language, Michael.
Yeah, and then of course there's Halo, the multiplayer. Halo Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
That game is insane. It brings me right back to college, which is incredible because now you have 343 taking over, and you have to feel for them because there's so much pressure to be to do what Bungie did or exceed it, and that sounds like almost impossible of a task. And I think they got really close with this game so far with the beta. The multiplayer is fantastic. And having a great time with that. Actually, the Halo Elite Series 2 controller is like a game changer.
You have it?
Yeah, I got it right here. It's fantastic. Like I don't know if you guys ever had an Elite Series controller before. It's a game changer, man. Because like right here in the back of I don't know if the people that are listening, I'll try to describe it. So in the back, you have these like buttons where you could change the triggers and there's stoppers there. So if you bring it all the way down, it'll actually make the triggers very like almost instant when you're pressing it. So you don't have to press it all the way down. Wow. As you can see, like I barely press it and it's already like right away. So it helps with like firing, it helps with aiming really quick, and that it gives you those like microseconds, and it could like get an extra kill or help you in so many different ways, and you feel it instantly. So great investment there for me. So yeah, Halo, a lot of fun. Yeah, I just got the Nintendo OLED.
Yep.
So I've been playing Metroid Dread with that, and actually, and Patrick, you mentioned this last week's episode, Animal Crossing. I like one of the games that you were very grateful for. That game actually I'm grateful for as well. It's a game that brings me and my wife together actually.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yes, during the like pandemic, that was a big game for her because she was commuting to work, and she would just take that with her and play that, and it was like it was a great great experience for her. And she's not like a huge gamer, so that was something that we could bond over. And so and then we decided to get back into it, and I was like, let's start a new island. That was a terrible mistake. Oh my goodness, I don't know if you guys dive deep into that game, but Yeah, Patrick, it's insane. It's insane.
I'd considered a couple times because I just got the Switch OLED too, and I considered like, should I start a new island? And I hadn't considered, like, I haven't decided one way or the other, but it sounds like I should not start a new island based on what you just said.
Don't do that.
Okay,
Don't do that because you'll have to get to the point where you have to get stars, right? You have to get 3 or 4 stars to, like, it's like a rating system, and then you're there like building these bridges or doing this, and you have to oh, this project is 200,000 bells. I'm like, wait, how much? And like, oh, you just have to do a bunch of those, and don't worry about it. Take your time. Like, no, man, I don't know what I was thinking, because my wife actually was doing the majority of that last year during the pandemic.
Sure.
And she would tell me like, oh, I'm gonna quit this game. I'm like, babe, why? She's like, you don't understand. Getting from stars 2 to 3 is crazy. I'm like, I'm like not even paying attention. I'm like, yeah, you'll be all right. Now I'm like, what was I thinking?
Right. Yeah.
Like, oh no, babe. So I regret that, but we are playing it, and actually we're having a great time.
That's great. I actually wanted to ask you. You mentioned you've been playing Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
What are you thinking of that? Because it's been really hard for me to get into that game.
Okay, so I would say I hear where you're coming from. I do like. I'm not like a hardcore Metroid guy, so I guess I'm coming from it from that perspective. I'm really enjoying it.
Cool.
I love the slide mechanic in this game. Any 2D platformer where you feel very like acrobatic is I'm all about that. Like Ori has a lot of that going on. So Metroid, like running around, hitting the slide, you feel like a ninja almost. And games like that really like intrigue me. And so Metroid, I feel like getting around the map with the slide, and it's really well. But I understand how like some people could say like, oh, it's kind of old where you have to, like get a new weapon or new ability just to get to this other area, which is like locked for whatever reason, and it's kind of barbaric, almost like old school,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, I don't feel like it's like that. I think it's okay. I think it's it's cool, and I think the graphics are good. I think the music and sound is
for sure. I definitely agree on those points.
What's bothering you with the game?
It's just one of those things where it's just not grabbing me. Like part of it is the difficulty, I will say. Like I forget what they're called, but the thing that like chases you around at certain points. It's I forget what it's called, but
the EMIs.
Yeah. It has such a small window of when you can counter it, to where it's just like it's so frustrating, and I'm just not having fun with it yet. And I think that's the problem. Is I need to just kind of learn it a little more and have more fun with it. And once I'm having more fun, I'll probably actually start enjoying it. But so far, I've been a bit disappointed with that game. But I think I might just need to give it.
I feel you on that. I would say stick with it and try to get some of the more abilities. Well, how many abilities would you say you
would say I either had 1 or 2. Like I've only played maybe an hour, 90 minutes of this game. Like I have not played very much yet.
I would say I'll give it some more time. Let it get in there, because you'll start get stronger and stronger. That's kind of how Nintendo wanted to go with this game.
Sure.
They wanted you to get stronger and stronger throughout the game, and just do your best, run with it. You get a little bit better too, actually, with dodging, or not dodging, countering they're like almost like Terminators coming after you, right?
Yeah.
You get better. You get better at it. The counter. I would say I'm like maybe 50% now. Like it's like 50-50 that I could get out of it. But there's a lot of, the more you play, there's more opportunity for you to like avoid even getting to that situation without spoiling.
I will trust your judgment, and I will give it another shake.
Nice.
Cayman, what have you been playing?
Yep. So, excuse me. For me, I have just finished up beating the Elite Four on Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. I'm gonna have a lot to say on that.
You're my Brilliant Diamond.
Thanks, buddy. I'm gonna have a lot to say on that later in the show, so I don't want to spoil too much, but I will give a brief review. Essentially, if you've played Pokemon in the past, you know what you're getting into. This is not reinvent the wheel. It is a reboot of the original Diamond and Pearl. So this isn't going to be a game changer. the chibi style graphics fit really well into the world. It just feels like an upgrade from the Game Boy Advance or DS games, and so it feels nice. It looks nice. And yeah, I mean, look, you're getting exactly what you expect with a Pokemon game. If you don't like Pokemon, you're not going to like this. Unfortunately, that's just part of it. With that being said, though, like I said, I have a lot to talk about later. But that's the base review. I've also been playing Deathloop, which
Give me your
coming
thoughts.
from our first couple episodes, we talked about when Patrick played it. Deathloop.
Take your gloves off. Give me the brutal truth.
And I had said it. I said this does not sound like a game I will enjoy. This does not sound like a game I want to play. With that being said, as of right now, I don't dislike it.
Progress.
I'm enjoying it. I think for me, and Patrick gave me like the warning on the beginning where he was like, yeah, when you play Deathloop, like you're gonna have to get through the tutorial. Because they hold your hand a lot and you're not really given any freedom to explore or do anything. So you need to make it through. So it's like, okay, cool. So I did. Once I've started to find weapons that I'm enjoying and infusing those so I can carry them in different runs, it's making my enjoyment of the games a lot much more just there.
Cool.
I'm enjoying it so much more.
Good.
Now that I've got like guns that I like to use. I still really haven't dabbled too much with the slabs, which are like the mystical powers that you get kind of like from the Dishonored games. And so haven't really dabbled too much in them. The one that I've used and have used it a few times while doing stealth was doing the there's one where you can connect like two enemies. And then if you kill one, it'll kill the other.
Yeah.
And so I've used that quite a bit just because my play style is that I will go stealth as long as I can, and then I will always fuck something up. So once I fuck it up, then I essentially have to go in guns blazing. So I've been using like the nail gun and using a lot of stealth, and then I've got like the mini machine gun or like the mini Gatling gun is like my backup.
Yeah.
So I pretty much am like kill as many as I can. Then I eventually set someone off, and then all the shit goes up. And so then I'm like just mowing down people. I did a few runs. I actually got a really good gun, lost it, and then attempted to do it again without the same gun. And I was like, this sucks. Like I'm either so bad at the game or they've designed it in a way that you really have to have like your play style down.
Yeah.
I also got invaded by an actual player. Like when you're playing, like the other assassin on the island can invade you at random points.
Oh, wow.
And basically they just whip my ass just repeatedly. And I was like, this sucks. And then I found out that you can play an offline mode and then you get a computer will actually, it'll be like an AI will take you on, which was a lot easier and a lot more fun that way. I guess
that's
just
how I
not
played
that
the whole
good.
game. Was with the AI.
I don't think I'm good enough as a gamer to be able to do this. But yeah, so far I'm probably only 5 hours, maybe 5 hours into the game. So I'm still exploring a lot, still learning a lot. Looking forward to it. Not sure if this will be one that I platinum like you did, but I've definitely been enjoying it.
There's the slab that I think based on your play style. I don't know what like if you have the ability to use 2 slabs yet. But whenever you do, if you don't already, there's one that you'll unlock. I think it's called Carnesis or something like that. Basically, it just makes you more powerful. So it sounds like that would be a good like secondary one to have for when shit hits the fan, turn it on and you're a lot harder to kill and you do more damage. I didn't use that one very much because I tried to play as stealthily as possible, but that's a good one for that type of play style.
Good. Well, then I'm going to be on the lookout. I think I might have unlocked it or might not have. I ended up in a situation where while I was killing a visionary, Julianne jumped in. And so I ended up getting like 2 different slabs at once. And then was like, I just got to make it to the end of the loop so I can infuse these. So I haven't messed around with them yet, but looking forward to that. Patrick, what about you? What have you been playing?
So to echo our friend Michael, I've been playing Halo multiplayer, which for so much of this podcast so far, I'm always like, not the multiplayer guy. But I used to be the multiplayer guy way back, like when I was a lot younger. I played a lot of If either of you remember the Xbox version of GoldenEye, which had
No, I don't.
It was like not even a remake. I mean, I guess it probably was a remake, but they had an online multiplayer mode, and I would play that so much, and I'd play Halo a lot with my brothers and his friends, and I've just not been into multiplayer much since then. And this game is bringing me back. Like, it feels so good, and it feels like Halo, and it's the first time because like I played 4, I played a little bit of 5, not online. I only ever did the stories, and they just always felt like they had kind of been they were missing something that made Halo Halo, and I feel like Infinite has gotten whatever that thing is back. Like it feels like the old Halo games, and so I'm really excited for the campaign to come next week. I think it's a week from today, actually.
Yeah, the 8th.
Because I really want to get in and play in the campaign. Because the sad truth is, I'm better than I expected I would be, but I'm still not great. So like there's sometimes I'll do well. Sometimes like there have been a few games where I've been top of the board, but anytime I play ranked, I just get smoked. So, but I'm still having a lot of fun. So I've been playing that. I've been playing Skyrim more, the anniversary edition. I've been playing that more, but I started playing Life is Strange True Colors the other day, and I'm really, really liking it so far. Next week I'll do like a full review of it. I'm pretty close to finishing it at this point. But my initial thoughts are it's a really, really beautiful game. Like the graphics are great. If you've played the original Life is Strange games, it feels the same in that it's very much like Telltale type games. And those like you walk around in an environment, look for clues, talk to people. The dialogue is kind of like the main point of gameplay. But the power in this one, because each of the Life is Strange games, your character has like a specific kind of power. The power in this one is empathy, but it's not just like you can empathize with people. It's that you can actually feel like the feelings that other characters are having. And with that, you can like read their mind. It's like a mixture of like telepathy and empathy. So you can like, a character might be really angry or really scared, and you can like kind of read their mind and hear their thoughts and feel what they're feeling to help get to a solution to make them not feel that way and get them out of danger or whatever it is. But it's a really great story. I think the voice acting for the most part is great. Sometimes the way the dialogue is written, you can tell it's not two people talking to each other. Like typically with voice acting, everyone just records their own lines in a studio and they're not actually having an actual conversation with somebody. And a lot of games, like the ones that do it well, you don't feel like they're on their own. But this game, sometimes it kind of feels like they're on their own and they're not having a full conversation, which is kind of a disappointment. But overall, definitely really like it. I'll give my full thoughts next week. But if you've been considering playing it, I do recommend it so far. I haven't finished it. That might change. But so far, I've been really liking it.
Is that on Game Pass?
I don't think it's on Game Pass, but it's on Xbox, PlayStation. And I even think if it's not on Switch, it's coming to Switch soon. But I don't believe it's on Game Pass. I got it on sale for Black Friday for PS5. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if it comes to Game Pass within the next 2 months. It feels like a good Game Pass type game if the developers are willing to partner up with Microsoft. So
actually, there's one game I forgot to mention that I'm playing.
Yeah, please.
Sure.
I don't know if you guys played it yet. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ooh, love Guardians.
So I just platinumed it. That was
really,
we left it up to Twitter to be able to decide whether or not I was going to platinum the game, and they chose for me to spend more time in the Guardians universe. So I actually just platinumed it. Fantastic game, absolutely incredible game.
Yeah. What did you guys love about it? Because I'm like maybe 2-3 hours into it. Not too deep.
Sure.
I'm going to Lady
Hellbender.
Yeah. I'm going to her fortress right now.
Yeah.
So I'm at the scene when I'm walking through with him in the cage. What's his name?
Yeah.
Gruden's in the little cage thing.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, I honestly just enjoyed the story more than anything else.
Same.
The combat wasn't huge for me. It didn't really. I mean, it was fun, especially after like beating the game once and then replaying it again for the platinum. The combat grew on me, especially when I was leveled up and had all the powers. Like it felt a lot better. But ultimately, it was the story that kept me going for the 20 so hours that I put in for the platinum on it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed like the lines in between like the gameplay, just walking around in the environment. You hear Drax or Groot talking and Rocket and Gamora having little banters and stuff like that. That's what made the game special, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like what I said the other day or the other podcast when I kind of gave my thoughts on it is mostly it caught me off guard. Like I didn't expect. I remember when they first revealed this game, whether it was E3 or Game Awards or whatever it was, I was like, it looks fine, but I'm sure it's not going to be great because this was shortly after Marvel's Avengers came out, which I didn't love, and so I kind of had low expectations, and then I was just totally blown away with the story, and I really love the gameplay. Like I think the kind of like managing the battlefield as Star-Lord, and it really worked well for me. I know Cayman, there were times that Cayman didn't love the gameplay as much. Not that you didn't like it, but
oh no, I platinumed it.
Yeah, right,
So
exactly.
I had to have liked it enough, even if the Twitter users were the ones that had me in a vice grip. Kind of forcing my hand. I mean, I was probably going to platinum it regardless of what they said. But
I'm excited to get my copy back from you because I would like to play it again. And because like Michael, I also put Groot in the cage for me, but I want to go back and see what happens if I put Rocket.
Oh, that's right. You have an option. That's right. Yeah.
So it gives you those kinds of options to go through. Which another thing to bring it back to Life is Strange.
Yeah.
I definitely, because it's a short game. You could probably beat it in less than 10 hours. I want to replay it again pretty soon after I beat it, just to do all the other like different paths that you can go down. Because I'm that invested in the story that I want to see the other options.
Have you played the first one?
I played the first one. I didn't play the second one, but I did play the first one. But typically, I'm pretty sure each of them kind of live on their own. Like the second one, it's not the same characters from the first one. This one, it's like new characters as well. Yeah. But typically, like whoever you play as has some sort of power. Like in the first one, you could rewind time. I don't know what the power was in the second one because I didn't play it. And then this one is like the empathy power. So that's like the one kind of through line is that your character has some superpower in this world. But like I said, highly recommend it so far. But I will report back next week. Let's move on. I want to, we talked a lot about what we're playing. We learned a little bit about the games that you're currently playing, Michael. But I want to talk about, who you are, your story in gaming to get you to this point. You have a podcast. I want to talk about the podcast.
Sure.
Let's start with your gaming history. Like, when did you start playing? What kinds of games do you play? Like, what's your story that got you here to today on our podcast?
Sure. So I started off playing with my cousins. I grew up with my cousins in East Harlem.
Okay.
And we would always, play a lot of the games together, outdoors, indoors. And because we grew up basically the same age, I had a few, me, my cousin Brian, and Matthew, we were about the same age, a few months apart. And when we would play games, we would get together. Nintendo, the first console I remember is the NES.
Okay.
It was in my grandmother's house, Abuela. And I don't know who. I think it was passed down from an older cousin or something like that. I don't know how I got there, but it had the Mario with the Duck Hunt, the gray gun, and I remember playing that. I could just close my eyes and think of the music right now, just capturing the gun. I mean, the dog and the birds and stuff. So that's probably like the first time playing like video games, and then from there. The very first console I had for Christmas, and I still remember, is Sega Genesis.
Okay.
And I remember opening it up and then turning it over, and you could see like I think it had like 32 games, like different like little screenshots of them. It didn't come with it. I think it came with like was that the Beast game, Alter Beast? I think.
Alter Beast,
yeah. Sonic, and so I was the Sega guy myself. My cousins were more Nintendo growing up.
Sure.
So, and then my father, who was kind of young for that age, he was like 21. He raised me when I was like 2 years old. I think he was 21 at the time. And so he was young, so he's playing games as well. So it was one of those, like, he'll play, and when he's done or he has to do something, he'll pass it on to me, and I'll get to play. And he would always like, because he was older, he was always there to like do the like button mashing parts of the games. Like I remember Beavis and Butthead for the Sega Genesis. There was this one section where you have to fish, and you have to fish out a phone. Or who knows? It was what weird storyline, crazy stuff going on. And I would have to call my father in to hit the ABAB over and over.
Yeah.
And he would do it so easily. Meanwhile, me and my cousins are trying to do it with our tiny fingers and stuff. So my father would come every once in a while to help me in my childhood with games. So shout out to him.
Nice.
And then so yeah, I don't want to speed through it. So a Sega Genesis, NES, Super Nintendo, SNES as well. It was more like kind of like fighting games or like multiplayer games. Me and my cousins like Mortal Kombat or wrestling games. For me, I would have like the single player. Like I'll have Sonic. I would get Sonic 2. So you have Tails with my cousin as well. So that was cool. And then after that, the N64 was big for us. GoldenEye was like one of those first like multiplayer games, right? So you have that. You have No Mercy, which is probably the GOAT wrestling game for me.
I will pay any developer. I will give them all of my organs in my body since I have nothing in my wallet for them to remake No Mercy.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
man,
needs to
I would
happen.
love that. Yeah, because if you look at it now, it is like hot garbage. Like the animation, like the faces. Oh my gosh! And I remember thinking those graphics were good back then. Like
for sure. Like oh my god, that looks just like Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah, shit. Or Triple H. I don't know. I have nightmares now thinking of Triple H's face from No Mercy. If you Google it, it's not pretty. But back then, oh man. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of the games growing up was like fighting games or stuff like that for me and my cousins. My very first console that I bought on my own was the Xbox, the original Xbox, OG, and Halo, Combat Evolved. That was the first game and really the only game you needed for Xbox. It was like
that and Fusion Frenzy.
Yeah. Oh no!
Actually,
Jade Empire.
Fusion Frenzy. I did not play until like Game Pass, and and like recently, like last year, I was introduced to that. People on Twitter like, "Oh, Fusion Frenzy! I can't wait." I'm like, "Wait, what? What game is this?" I don't know how I missed that. That is totally my type of game. It's like competitive. It's you know, it's fun. It's like a party. It's like almost like Mario Party.
Yeah, for sure.
For like adults or something like that. I don't know. So I played so many systems. Like there's very few systems I haven't like owned. The Dreamcast I didn't own, unfortunately. The GameCube my cousin had, I didn't have. So there's some things that I'm missing out sprinkled in there. But the PlayStation I owned, and PlayStation 2 actually I convinced my father to get because it had the DVD player. So that was like an easy, you know,
little 1-2 punch there.
You know, present for the whole family. Like, hey, Dad, you know, why would you get this DVD player that costs, let's say, $300 or something, when you could just get the PS2 for all of us, watch movies and this and that, right?
You're a salesman.
Yeah.
I like it.
So I've had that. I've had the 360 in college.
Yep.
That was fantastic. Playing Halo and Gears of War. And then comes the next generation, and then you have to decide because now money's starting to get tight and you're getting older, and now there's bills and stuff. And so I had to decide Xbox One, PS4, and I kind of did a toss up, and then I saw commercials about the Kinect, and you could turn on the Xbox with your voice and this, and then so I went Xbox One. And do I regret it? Probably.
Yeah, I probably.
Because PS4, I feel like first party wise had like better games, and Xbox One, just the games weren't there. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, I had like the AAA third party games like I would play Skyrim or Witcher 3, stuff like that on it. But PS4 is the one that had all the good stuff. So I ended up getting PS4 later down the line. And the Series X is my current like baby right now.
Yeah.
Series X all day is one of the greatest consoles that's ever come out, I believe. Game Pass, like a combination of everything going on. the last generation, not, I wouldn't say failure, but like disappointment for Microsoft, I would say. Plus, innovation with Game Pass and them trying to come out with learning from their mistakes and coming out with a console that's strong and powerful and future proof. It's just a perfect like trifecta of like opportunity for Microsoft, and I feel like they nailed it. Series X is by far like I haven't played this much since like I was younger, and I had like all the time in the world, and you just want to rush to become an adult because you feel like time is so slow. And now everything is about work and bills, and there's just not enough time to play games. And
but we make time.
You have to make time. Yeah, you have to try to make time, especially for our passions.
Sleep is
sleep
is that we don't need sleep to survive. You just sacrifice. You have to sacrifice something, and obviously you can't sacrifice your job or you can't pay your bills, but you can sacrifice sleep. And so that's what I do. I sacrifice sleep. I don't think I've slept for like 3.5 weeks now.
Oh wow!
Yeah, this is how
he needs for several reasons. Cayman needs to see a doctor.
Yeah, I don't know about 3 weeks straight.
So this is a great segue. You said as a medical professional, this is a great segue to another piece of your gaming history that I'd love to talk about, which is you were the first consumer to play Xbox Series X.
Yes,
tell us about that experience. I know you're a healthcare worker in New York City, which couldn't be a more beneficial and needed job right now, especially in a city as big as New York City. So thank you for that. But tell us about, what was that process like? How did you become the first consumer to play the Xbox Series X?
It's crazy to even think about, right? Oh my gosh. Like you Google it and then you just see like articles and stuff. It's like, I don't know. It's unbelievable. I can't even imagine. It's like a dream, So I think you guys know Danny Pena, right?
Gamertag Radio.
I owe everything. I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. You know what I mean? Like doing this podcast with you guys. He really like changed my life, and I guess I'll explain it. So I love video games like us all here. But I don't have like a lot of people to talk games with. I have a job, career, and I do. It's like a hobby. So I go home and I play video games when I can. But I don't have like a lot of people to talk to about games, right? So So I joined Danny Pena's like Discord, and I find a community there to talk to people about games and have conversations and stuff like that. And I would listen to different podcasts about games. So it's a way for me to kind of like be in the conversation in a way, right?
Sure.
And just entertain myself with my passion. I'm very passionate about video games. So one day I posted during like Black Lives Matter, I posted myself in this like protest in Union Square, supporting Black Lives, and took a picture, with like a poster, it was promoting Black Lives and supporting them. And I think Danny Pena saw that, and on Twitter, and I guess he was like proud of the moment, because actually he was doing protests, and he was trying to speak out as well, and he inspired me because I've never done anything like that before, and just because I'm kind of shy and stuff like that. So he inspired me to do that, and it was at a time where like you really felt like we needed something like that. We needed some positivity to make sure that the shift in the country stays positive, and it doesn't turn ugly, right? So you have to. I felt like at this point in time in the world, you have to try something to promote positivity, right? So I did that because he inspired me, and he's a gamer, yet he's doing something to promote that. So I posted that, and I think he saw that, and he was like inspired, and he kept me in mind for like wanted to do something nice for somebody in healthcare, because I was a healthcare worker working during the pandemic. And so he reached out to me on Discord, and he said, hey Mike, I'm getting together with a bunch of people from Game Attack Radio, the podcast that he does. And I was like, yeah, sure. When is it? And we've tried to figure out a date and stuff like that when I was off and stuff. And he's like, yeah, we'll set it this time and place, blah, blah, blah. And he gave me directions and stuff like that. So I'm expecting I go down to the city. I'm expecting to meet with a bunch of fans of Game Attack Radio, and just people to talk games and stuff like that. And when I get there, first I couldn't find the place, because it's during the pandemic, everything was still like, you know, like an apocalypse. There was like nothing going on in the city.
Yeah.
Everything was, and then I'm walking around trying to find this building, and I thought I was like lost or whatever. And I see this one guy in a hazmat suit come out of a building, and he's in the street. And I go up to him. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for this address. And I show him, and he's like, yeah, are you, you know, because he has a mask. He has like a hazmat head to toe. He's like, yeah, are you Michael? I'm like, yeah, that's me. And so I was like, oh man, this must be it. So I go in the building with him, and he's like, you know, come right this way. And I go in and I open the door. And well, first of all, I see this guy in the hazmat suit. I'm thinking, okay, it's a big community getting together. I'm sure everyone wants to be nice and protected and stuff like that. It's a little extra, but whatever. So I open the door, and I'm expecting to see a bunch of people there, and there's nobody in there. I'm like, wait, what?
Hold on. So okay, so you walk up, so you when you get lost, then you come in. And then you're greeted at the door by a man in a hazmat suit who knows your name.
Yeah, exactly.
At any point in time where you're like, I might die tonight.
Yes, I was very afraid. I was very afraid for my life. But do you blame me? I mean,
no, not at all. I'd be more shocked if you weren't scared. I'm scared listening now.
Yes, it was strange. It was very strange. I just thought it was like, hey, this is what they're trying to do to be safe and blah blah blah, or I don't know what's going on, right? So I go in there, and there's nobody in there. It's this long corridor, right? And at the end of it, you have like a chair, a TV in front of it, and then you have a guy in another hazmat suit, and then you have another guy to the right there. And I was like, wait, what? Where is everybody? And then I see this guy in the hazmat suit. He's full head to toe. The only thing that you could see are the eyes, right? But there's something about the eyes, right? You ever see somebody's eyes and you could tell there's something going on, but they're like, they got a plan going on, or they got something like the mysterious look, right? That's the only thing I got, because all I could see is like right here, his eyes. And I notice this Danny just by the look, because I've seen him before, pictures and videos and stuff. So I'm like, hey, what's up, Danny? What's going on? And he has like this smirk, and he's like, hey, Mike, welcome, come on in. I'm like, what is going on here? It's strange. You can see it's very.
Yeah, I pulled it up on video.
Watching the podcast, entire corridor.
So that's what Danny looked like.
Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, completely head to toe. The only thing I could see is the eyes, and I still knew something was up just by looking at his eyes. So he's like, come have a seat. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking, where's everybody? And he's like, and then he gives me the news. He's like, hey, Mike, it's not what you think. It's not a group of us, here to hang out. I wanted you specifically to come here. And then he came out with the speech. He said, like, I want you to be the very first consumer in the world to play the Xbox Series X. And you're going to get an hour with this. You can play whatever you want. Whatever, you get the hour to yourself. You're going to put on the headphones, get the controller. I'll get out of your way, and you get an entire hour. And I was shocked. I was like starting to sweat a little bit, and I was getting a little bit nervous. My hands, I was getting cold. I was like, "Oh, is it hot in here? What's going on?" Like I was like, "Awesome!" And then Tony Polanco, I think you might have seen in the video, he passes me the controller. He's like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And he has like this deep voice. I don't know if you ever met Tony Polanco.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
"What's up, man?" He's very serious, sometimes. "What's up?" He's like, "I have this controller for you. Here, boom." Gives it to me, and he's like, "Go ahead, have an hour." I was like, "What?" I'm playing the Series X. Mind you, this is like a month before the console is going to come out. So I forget the first game I played. Actually, I think it was Doom.
Okay.
Doom Eternal was fantastic. And then I played a few other games. Yakuza, Like a Dragon. I played that. Was it before the game came out? I'm not even too sure. Maybe not. But I played that for a little bit, and I jumped around Gears. I jumped around all this stuff because I wanted to try the quick resume.
Sure.
Which nobody knew yet. Nobody was able to test it out because it was just something Microsoft was coming out with, like a new concept. And I was like, man, I gotta try this out. So I was playing Doom, and then I would hit home, and then hit Yakuza, and then I would switch to Yakuza, and then I would hit home Halo 5, I believe, and then Gears 6. And I was just hopping through these games, and it was working. And I was like, this is incredible. Like, we definitely take that for granted. People who have the new Xboxes, the Series X or S, the quick resume is incredible. Just being able to play, because me, I tend to jump all over the place. I do finish games, but there's so many games that like I end up not finishing because I play so much. But with quick resume, you could just instantly just jump between games. Whether it's a multiplayer game or if it's a single player game or an indie game, and you're just jumping around all this stuff. Incredible.
Yeah.
So after the hour was up, and I was like in another world. I couldn't believe this is happening. What stands out for me with that was after that, we he grabbed 3 beers. It was one for me, one for him, and one for Tony. And we cracked the beers, and we just talked about games for
That's awesome.
another hour, right? And they wanted to learn about me and tell me about my experience, and they were so happy talking to me because they kind of like was able to experience it through me. You know what I mean? Like that, me being the first time to do something was so exciting. I felt like a kid, and they were happy just to see me excited.
Yeah. So had they played it too, or you played it before they did?
No. So I think they and others that had like people in the media were able to like try it because they're previewing it for their for business purposes, right? For previewing it and stuff like that. But in terms of a consumer who's not like in the industry like that, I was like the first like person, like an average Joe, to experience it.
Sure.
And what stands out to me is the talking with Tony and Danny afterward. That's really what changed my life. Talking to them about games, just talking games.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Now, I'm curious because I know you also run a podcast as well. So Gamers University podcast, how did you where obviously inspiration inspired with Danny and Tony and everything they did with you, but like, how did you make that next step into starting up your podcast? Because I've listened to a few episodes now, and I have to say, like, I love it. It's awesome. I especially there's an episode where you have a comic book artist who worked at Marvel on, and I'm a huge nerd. I love comic books, and so like that one I was like heavy into, like just listening. So like I guess quite like a couple of questions for me. Like how did you get into like starting up your own podcast and doing stuff like that? But also like how are you meeting all these people? Because you're meeting some fantastic guests and have some incredible people on your show.
Oh, thank you. So shout out to Emilio Lopez you're referring to. He is a co-host with Tony Polanco on their podcast, the Throwdown Show. Yeah, there's a it's a great podcast, and it's very like raw in the sense of like they definitely speak their mind. So they do not care like if they offend any company. They they like if a game is bad, they're just gonna straight up call it out, right?
Sure.
So
Far Cry 6.
yeah. I haven't played it yet, man. I haven't played it yet. Podcast. No, stay away. I don't know. I listened to that, and knowing Tony from that for playing the Xbox for the first time, and hanging out with him, I reached out to Emilio, and I think maybe Tony gave a good word for me, and
Sure.
and then he reached out back, and he said, "Yeah, sure, I'll love to do it." And I want to speak to him because he's not just he does a gaming podcast, but he's also is an artist, like you said. He's a comic book artist, and I was like desperate to learn more about the industry and learn about it, which was great. I learned so much about it. Man, he did like a tribute for his grandmother where he drew her into the comic book. How incredible is that?
It's awesome.
I never thought about that, and then it just changed my mind of like, imagine all these artists that we don't know are like doing something for a loved one.
Sure.
And let's say putting them in the background of a Spider-Man comic book, or like, oh man, that just gives me chills just thinking about it. So to backtrack a little, how I came up with the podcast. So after the whole Xbox experience, there were articles that came out and all that stuff, and it got into like mainstream media and all that, and people started like hearing about that. Especially if like they're looking for an Xbox, they might search Xbox and might see me or something. So word of mouth started spreading about, and one day I was at work. I don't know if your listeners know, I'm a nurse in the South Bronx. I work in the ER. And one day a doctor, one of the residents came up to me, and he said, "Hey, Mike, were you guy that played the Xbox for the first time?" And randomly, just out of nowhere, as I'm like walking around, I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "How did you know?" He's like, "Yeah, I saw it. I saw it online." And I was like, "Wow." I was like, then I thought like, "Wait, are you a gamer?" And he's like, "Yeah, I play games all the time." And I was like, "Wait, what?" So I'm thinking to myself, I didn't say that. I said like, I was like, cool. I kept my cool. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. But I'm thinking, wait, a doctor playing a video game? That like blew my mind for whatever reason. And that's when kind of like the light bulb hit. And I was like, wait a second. I'm a nurse. I play video games all the time. Why am I so shocked that a doctor could play video games? He may not have all the time in the world, but just like we said earlier, like you have to find time for what you're passionate about. And even though he's a doctor, he could be a gamer too, And so that's when the thought of my podcast was like came to light. I wanted to like to get the notion of like, like what does a gamer to you, like when you close your eyes, what do you think of as a gamer, right? Do you think of it as like a person who's just sitting on the couch all day, out of shape? Or is it a lawyer? Or is it a doctor? Or is it a school teacher? Something like that? Or a politician? Like a gamer can be anybody. And especially nowadays, our generation, as we're getting older, we're getting into more serious careers. And you could still be passionate about games. And so I wanted to speak to people about games, which is the experience I had with Tony and Danny after playing the Xbox. I just sat there drinking a beer, talking about games, and then that was an incredible experience. And I felt like I was at home, just talking.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I wanted to just continue that and maybe start like a podcast where I speak to maybe one day a politician, or speak to I actually had a lawyer on an episode, and I've had a doctor. I'm gonna have another doctor soon, and I'm speaking to all these different professions, and I'm learning so much about what they do for a living. But also we talk about games, which is what I'm passionate about. And we learn so much. We learn about what they do for a living, and you learn about their career.
Yeah, I think to jump in, I I was listening to an episode a couple days ago. I forget her name. I meant to remember her name and I forgot. You're the person that we mentioned, or we spoke about on Twitter, Michael. The second AD in film. Her story.
Stephanie Fox.
70. So something that I really love about your podcast, and I recommend anyone that's listening, just go check it out, download it, subscribe, all that stuff. It's such a fun concept where the first half of the show is just about their life, their career, their profession. You ask a bunch of great questions about like how they got the job and what the job looks like and all this stuff. And then the second half of the show is typically you both like banter about video games. But honestly, my favorite part of it is just learning about these people's lives and their profession, and like how with Stephanie, how she became a second AD and like her story of kind of stumbling into it. And then from there, like taking chances and those chances working. And now she's a really prolific, like working all the time in the film industry and just learning. Yeah. Hearing, like, I was so riveted just hearing her experience on different sets and what that role it looks like. Like, most of our listeners, I think, know that my background is in the arts, is in theater, and I've not had the privilege to do much. I've been on a few film sets and a few TV sets, but I've not done very much at all. So the film world is actually a world I really don't know much about compared to theater. So I was just like soaking up all this knowledge about how sets work and all this stuff. And yeah, highly recommend. I think it's a really cool concept, and I love what you're doing with the podcast. And so yeah, thanks for sharing, how that came to be. It totally makes sense, hearing that story.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just kind of like the idea just came to me, and my favorite part is learning about what people do for a living, and it's fascinating because you always, I wouldn't say like you get to fall back to gaming towards the second half of it, which is what we're all passionate about.
Sure.
But there's so much out there to learn about people's lives and how they got to where they are. And it also helps with the younger audience, people who want to be a director or want to be a lawyer, or who want to be a doctor, but they're gamers. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that don't know you could be a gamer and you could still be a doctor if you want to. You could be a gamer and you could still be a director or directing movies or something like that. And I can't wait to see where this goes and learn more stuff. Yeah.
Well,
that's awesome.
I for one think it's fantastic. Very much have enjoyed, and I definitely recommend it to anyone listening to our show or watching on YouTube. Check out Gamers University podcast. It's not a mistake, I promise. You guys are all gonna love it. It's a fantastic show. And thank you, Michael, as well, for sharing that with us. That's awesome. I'm very excited to continue to listen to it and hear your upcoming episodes and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll plug again, but go ahead and plug like your Twitter and the podcast Twitter, all that stuff. Go ahead and plug that.
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on Twitter, ToonMedic, TOON_MEDIC. My podcast is gamersuniversitypodcast.com. You can find it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. What else? You can send me like an email. You could DM me if you want to be a part of the podcast, because what's great about it is I'm speaking to just average people. It's not people in the gaming industry. It's whatever you do for a living. And if you're listening to this podcast, you must be passionate about games. So I would love to have you on, and we could, if you're interested, we could talk about what you do for a living, and talk about games as well. Whatever you're into.
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, let's. Cayman, were you going to say something?
No.
Great. Well, let's put the spotlight on Cayman, who has been playing Pokemon Brilliant Diamond on his Switch. You have I'm not going to say it's going to be spicy because I don't know what the review is yet, but you got a review for us, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts so far on Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. So give it to us straight.
All right. So here goes, guys. I'm going to throw a curveball. This is not a review. This is a call out to Pokemon.
A call to action.
And I have to say, Pokemon's kind of fucked up, guys. So I have spent a little bit of time. I'm going to pull my phone out. So I can go over this, but I came up with a list of things that I have grievances with Pokemon. And this has absolutely nothing to do with the actual gameplay itself or anything. This is just my grievances. So I'm going to start with number 1. An old man convinces kids to travel around the country capturing animals in little balls so he can study them. And I just feel like that might be a predatory practice. And I think it's a little scary. With that being said, your parents are completely content with you leaving home. And then I'm sorry, in Pokemon, you always play as a kid that's young. So I'm just going to go with the age of 8 because that's what they look like. But your parents are fine with you joining on to a professor who's like, hey, go travel the country, because Pokemon's always broke down into regions, which essentially would be like, if you look at like the United States, it'd be like the Southeast or like the Northeast, Midwest, the West Coast. So you're traveling like, at least from the way that they describe, like the way that it looks, it's solid. It's like probably like a few states, right? And your parents are like, hey, this is fine. You're 8 years old. Just go out and have fun. And which brings me to the next problem I have. Number 3, you're entrusted with a Pokemon that once evolved has the potential to level an entire town. Once again, you are 8 years old and you're entrusting a child with a Pokemon that has the potential to literally destroy an entire city. And this is fine. Patrick, you're on mute. Sorry.
Yeah, they give you a weapon of mass destruction.
They really do. So they give you these Pokemon. They're like, fuck this. Go out. I mean, so I think in the Pokemon universe, parents are negligent of their children. And I think maybe policewoman Jenny should start talking to some of these parents, because this is not right. Okay. So here's number 4. During your travels, you stumble across wild Pokemon who you just beat to a bloody pulp, and then you just leave, presumably incapacitated, in a forest. So I think, like, here's another problem I have with this, is that, like, so in Pokemon, you're traveling around, you're walking in the tall grass, and out comes a Pidgey, right? This little innocent little bird. And then you got like a Charizard that you throw out that's like 40 times its size, and it just like nukes it. Then you just leave this bird lifeless on the ground, and you just leave it to its own devices. I don't think that that's okay. I think that that's bad. Also, number 5, adults hate you. They see this naive child wandering down Route 66, and they're like, fuck this kid, and immediately send out their strongest Pokemon to wreck your shit. Then, after you get done whooping their ass, they're like, oh, gosh darn it, here's a couple $1,000s. If you lose, they take your money. So essentially in the Pokemon universe, it is completely fine just to mug each other all the time. And I think, once again, that's a problem. Number 6, in your journey, you always come across some diabolical organization that's trying to take over the world. And every adult you come across is like, hey, little child, can you do something about this? Because we are capable of doing shit. And I look, this would be like saying like there's like a hostage standoff at like the Yakatoma Plaza. And instead of sending in Bruce Willis, they just pull some 8-year-old kid off the street and they give him like a dog. And they're like, all right, you're going to have to go fight every single person up this entire building. And this is okay. This in the Pokemon universe, this is totally fine. And then lastly, their plans, more often than not, revolve around using a world-ending mystical Pokemon, and shocker, you get to catch it. You wouldn't let an 8-year-old drive a car, but god damn it, you will let them have control over a creature that's capable of rewriting the universe. And I just think maybe we should take a step back. We should reevaluate the Pokemon universe. Is this what we want our children doing? I just am assuming one day Pokemon will take over the world, and we're going to be indoctrinated in this. And you're just going to have little kids like walking up to you with like a parrot, and they're just like, sick him. And then you get attacked by a parrot, and then they rob you blind. Like, is this the world we want to promote, guys?
I mean, let's see. Let me look and see how many units sold. Pokemon units sold all time.
I want to say that Pokemon's like over $1 billion brand at this
380 million units across all of the games have been sold. So that would suggest, yes, that's exactly what we want.
Okay. So yeah, but no, in truth is Pokemon is fantastic. I love it. I sat on the couch when I first got it, and it was like a little kid, like that nostalgia feeling of like jumping into a game like this. I was giddy as a child. The game isn't particularly difficult. I will say the Elite Four is like a huge, massive spike in difficulty increase.
Really?
That becomes a little bit of a problem because as you're playing through, you're not coming across a lot of like wild Pokemon that are keeping up with your level. And then the gym leaders are typically a few levels behind you. So when you get to the Elite Four, you're essentially just dumped in, and they're 5 to 10 levels higher than you are. And you're having a lot of difficulties with like matching correctly. And if your lineup is skewed one direction or the other, it could potentially throw a huge issue, which we have to remember. This is a kid's game. So it's kind of tough to dump on a child. I remember playing Pokemon Yellow as a kid and getting incredibly frustrated and basically just had to level all of my Pokemon up as high as I could get them before I could take out the Elite Four at the end. But it's a really fun game. It's perfect in handheld mode. It looks really good on the big screen as well, which I tried out. I can't recommend enough if you are a Pokemon fan.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, I do want to reiterate the world of Pokemon is a sad and dangerous place.
You know, I've only played a few Pokemon games. I played Yellow and Red, and then I played Sword last year. But I don't know that I've really played much more than that. Like I've always been around Pokemon. I played all the Snap games and like Pokemon Go, obviously, but I've never been a big proponent of the Pokemon games for whatever reason. But I've never really thought about it that way. That like, I mean, you could probably say this about a lot of IP, but when you lay it out the way you did, Cayman, there are a lot of things that I think we overlook because it has cute graphics. The world of Pokemon is definitely fucked up.
The world of Pokemon, I think, is what I've just presented forward to the audience to both of you, is that the world of Pokemon is indeed a fucked up place.
That is a great back of the box quote. You can review a game with just like quick and easy, straight to the point. This game
IGN gives it a 9 out of 10. GameSpot gives it a 10 out of 10. Spotlight Games Podcast, Pokemon's kind of fucked up.
Pokemon is kind of fucked up.
I just really hope that when the Pokemon are in the Pokeballs that they have, it's like a 5-star hotel. They're chilling. But the sad truth is it's probably a lot worse than that. You know what I mean? It's probably it's not pretty. I'm sure it's not pretty.
Yeah, I mean, if we have the Pokemon beauty pageants, I just imagine that it's like inside of a Pokeball, it's just horrendous.
That's one of the most disturbing parts of the game. Just the pageant and
that's another one I can add to my list. Just Pokemon pageants. These exist.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
Yeah.
Not a good look at all.
I'll tell you about my like history with Pokemon. So
yeah, go ahead.
I played Yellow and Red for sure. I remember like in school we would have the Ethernet little ports. I don't know if they're called Ethernet, but the wires that will connect
the trade cables.
Yeah, the trade cables, right? So you use that to like trade Pokemon and also fight and stuff like that. And we would always max out our guys, level 99 and stuff like that. I'm curious, Cayman, what was your like main? Because for me, some of mine that I would always, every Pokemon game I was always drawing myself into was Butterfree and Charizard. I love me some Charizard just because he's so badass, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What about you? What some of your like mains? Like
I cut my teeth on blue. My brother had red. So I started with Blastoise. He did Charizard. Obviously, no one went Venusaur because why would you? So for me in the original game, so at least in blue, Blastoise was my go-to. And also was a huge fan of Golduck. I feel like Golduck is a super underrated Pokemon. But I was lucky enough that I had a friend in elementary school who had the trade cables, and he was able to help me get a Gengar. And so Gengar's always been like a staple on my lineup whichever game I play. I'm also a huge fan of Farfetch'd. He's absolutely useless as a Pokemon. Like he does, like it's just his matchups are all terrible. But there's just something about a pissed off duck holding a leaf. It's just you can't not like it. And then obviously you've got, when you play yellow, you can't have a lineup that doesn't include Pikachu.
Yeah, of course not.
So, and then of course with the cartoons, everyone loves Pikachu, which, obviously there's a lot of reasons why.
Would you evolve Pikachu, or you would try to keep him as is?
No, and that's what's always tough. I like the idea of Pikachu remaining as Pikachu.
Me too.
But then in the games themselves, if you don't evolve your Pokemon, you keep them as is, then there's like a barrier that they'll obviously continue to get more powerful, but there's not like a leap in abilities that you're going to need in the late game unless you evolve them. So in yellow, you couldn't evolve Pikachu. They wouldn't allow you to. But in all the other games, I always evolved him into Raichu just because I needed that. I needed the ability to use Thunder, and you can't do that without him being a Raichu in most of the games. And so, the way I play Pokemon is I always keep one of every Pokemon in my lineup and then adjust each battle to make sure I have basically a one-hit kill system is what I try to achieve every time. And so I usually would keep one Thunder, and this one is Luxio is my electric type. But in the previous games, I was always trying to get Zapdos. Absolutely love Zapdos. The what is it? The legendary birds. Always solid having all three in your lineup. And then in this game, if you have save data for Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee, and like one of the very first towns you go to, if you talk to a person, they'll actually give you a Mew.
Oh, what?
And so I've been seeing a lot of guides online that's like, look, if you want to be able to like breeze the game as quickly as possible, you get the Mew, and then you can learn any TM or HM. So you just give him one of each type of move.
Yeah.
And then he's your one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And he can pretty much just take you the entire game until the Elite Four. So for me, my lineup, I went with a Fernape as my my starter. So I kind of used him. I'm obviously using Dialga, the legendary Pokemon from Brilliant Diamond.
Nice.
I'm trying to think. I got Luxio in my lineup. Shockingly, I don't have Gengar this time. I need to meet up. One of our listeners said he would help me with the trade. So got to take advantage of that. But, it's good. It's a good Pokemon's a fantastic game, and it feels good playing them. So I'm very excited about that, and hopefully everyone else who's jumped on and picked up their copy, whether it be Brilliant Diamond or I think it's Shining Pearl.
I think so.
Is enjoying their time with the game as well.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for enlightening us on all of the things wrong with the world of Pokemon and all the things right.
You're welcome.
With this copy of
That's what I'm here
Pokemon
for.
Brilliant Diamond. So I want to talk about this next one briefly, and then we can go to the final part of the show. But this is something that I'm very excited about. There are reports, Cayman and Michael. There's a Mass Effect TV show in development by Amazon, or it's on its way of being in development. So this is from Ars Technica by Samuel Axon. He writes, Amazon is nearing a deal with Electronic Arts to develop a TV series for the Prime Video streaming service based on the beloved Mass Effect video game franchise. The revelation can be found buried midway through a recent Deadline article about the performance of the recent Wheel of Time series premiere on Prime Video, which I watched and I enjoyed, and Amazon's overall programming strategy. Specifically, the piece dives into Amazon's focus on genres like fantasy to drive viewers and says that this will be a focus for Prime Video moving forward. Quote, you will see us continuing to invest in the fantasy genre of all kinds. We have a genre-focused team on the ground in studios who work tirelessly with our creative partners on those slates, and you can look forward to more, end quote. Amazon Studios head Jennifer Salka told Deadline. So I think this makes total sense. Like I have not watched it. My sister keeps telling me to watch it, and it's on my list to watch. Did either of you watch The Expanse?
No, I haven't.
Watched a little bit of it.
Yeah, I saw like the first pilot episode for like a few minutes.
So what my sister tells me, who I'm sure she's listening, she's not, that the first couple seasons are a little slow, and then Amazon takes it over from Sci-Fi, and it like the budget skyrockets and it becomes a lot more well done. And she's like, this, based on what she has told me about The Expanse, I think this is it makes total sense that Amazon would be doing this. And I've said for years that Mass Effect would be a perfect TV show because of how big the story is. Michael, have you played Mass Effect?
Of course, yeah. One of my favorite series of all time. Sure.
I'm super thrilled.
Up there as like a top 5,
for sure. Yeah. Any do you think that, for either of you, feel free to jump in, do you think that they'll tell the story of the first, game 1, 2, and 3? Do you think they'll adapt it to kind of make their own story? What way do you think that they'll go with it?
I think it'll be an original story with the same species and worlds and stuff like that. They'll come up with a new crew, maybe and like, so everything that happened with Shepard would just be like the game, and so you'll have like maybe an alternate universe or just something else going on, and you'll have like a ragtag group of people that stumble into each other's world, and then they go off on their own story, and you'll meet the creatures and planets, and you'll see the Mass Effect, and you'll see the Citadel, and you'll see these different environments, and you'll see the creatures and species that we're know and connect with when it comes to Mass Effect. But in terms of seeing a Shepard like type story, I don't think it's going to be there. What do you think, Kim?
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with you on that one. I think it's a safe bet to say that it's going to be an original. I just don't foresee EA wanting another Mass Effect out there that's going to follow the stories from the games. I want to think that EA wants to expand upon the universe itself. What I would personally like to see would be like a prequel to the games. Set it 50, 100 years early. Let you have like an exploratory team that's like out, going over the ruins. We can even include the Reapers. It could have something to do with like what's leading into the first set of games. I think that would be really cool. But I agree with Michael. I think that definitely it's going to be an original series because it just expands, because they've already released like a Mass Effect movie that follows one of the characters from, I want to say, Mass Effect 3.
Is it animated?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's basically like his story before. Mm-hmm. And so I think they'll probably do something like that. It makes more sense for them to do that than to retell the Shepard story. I think people are okay with the Shepard story just being a game. And it's a good opportunity for them to basically just grow out the universe for the Mass Effect.
I'll be honest, I am shocked that you both think that.
Really?
I want you both to be right, because I actually I've been watching Arcane. Have either of you watched Arcane on Netflix? So it's incredible. Like it's a show based on the characters from the game League of Legends, which I've never played. I'm not a PC guy, but I was reading about it because I've been loving the show so much. I've seen 4 or 5 episodes by now, and I was reading about it, and they're not telling the story of League of Legends. They made up like kind of like came in what you were saying. Like it's like backstory for these characters and kind of these heroes that you play as in League of Legends. To my understanding, from what this article was saying, it just like kind of gives them some backstory to tell them how do they get to the point in which League of Legends, the game, is. And it's probably, I've not finished it, so I don't want to, make any sweeping decrees or statements, but it's probably the best video game adaptation I've ever seen of anything. Because, and I think the trick here, or the secret, is they're not just telling the story that we've already been told. So I hope that with Mass Effect they do that, where they tell us a new story that we've not been told before. But
can I just interject briefly? I have a point of contention with something you just said. I don't, and don't get me wrong, I haven't watched Arcane yet, so I can't speak on it and say that it isn't the best video game adaptation. But I do want to point out to the listeners that the Carl Urban and The Rock-led Doom film is indeed the greatest video game adaptation ever made.
Cayman, I want to personally thank you for interrupting my point to make that fucking dumb joke.
I would actually for both of you and say that John Leguizamo as Luigi is the greatest movie of a
Here we
video
go. You know, I was waiting for Michael to make some New York comment, and here it comes. Here it comes.
But yeah, I really, like I said, I hope you both are right. I hope that they tell a new story. But yeah, I will be shocked if they don't just tell the story of Shepard and adapt the first game. Because honestly, I mean, the first game could be 4 seasons of a show. Like, it's so big. Each of them could be multiple seasons. So we'll see. I don't know, but I'm excited to see where they go with it. Any last remarks on that before we move on to our final segment, fellas?
Not after you insulted me like that.
You insulted our intelligence, Cayman, by speaking of the first-person movie Doom.
It was only first person for like the last 10 minutes of it.
Okay.
And apparently that's where like 80% of the budget of the film went.
Oh, wow.
That's fair. That's fair. You know, I remember that came out when we were in high school together, and I saw the trailer and I was like, I could not be caught dead watching this film.
This is going to be ass. And guess what, guys? Greatest movie ever made.
Shut up. Okay, let's move on to our final segment. In this, we're going to include some audience members as well. We got some submissions from our audience. I want to talk about the games we're most anticipated for. So we have this revolving segment we do every now and then, top 5. So each of us, Michael, if you have 5, if not, that's okay. Our most anticipated games. These could be games that are coming out, in 7 days, Halo Infinite, or it could be games that don't even have a release date yet. So I figure what we could do, we could kind of round robin it. So I'll start, and then let's hear from Michael. We'll hear from Cayman, and then let's do an audience submission because I have 5 from the audience as well. And yeah, let's just talk about what the game is, what we're excited for, that kind of thing. So the reason I wanted to start is I actually had this idea from a tweet that Michael had the other day talking about Fable. Is it unannounced? Has it been announced? Is it just
unannounced?
It's the unannounced.
We don't know. I doubt it'll be 2022. So
not going to be 2022. I know, but there have been rumblings for a year or two now that there is a studio that is bringing back Fable. It's not going to be Peter Molyneux. He's off making some new bullshit game probably that is an app or something. But Fable, really beloved franchise of mine, a staple for Xbox. Really excited that there are rumors. Again, I hope, these could be false, but I'm hoping that they are true because I would love a next gen built from the ground up Fable game. I'm assuming, Michael, you've definitely played Fable, but did you play the Fable games?
You know what? That's actually one game that I feel like would be like right up my alley that I just have never. I didn't get an Xbox until Xbox One. Did Game Pass for a little bit, but it was just bad timing for me.
Sure.
So I never was able to get into it, but it looks, from everything I've seen and heard about, it looks like a game that's was made for me to play. I just still haven't done it.
It's a Cayman game for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. It's not like up to date with the FPS boosts and stuff like that, but it's there, and you could definitely give it a try. I haven't replayed it. I've only played it once, the first 3, and I definitely need to get back. I actually downloaded the Fable Anniversary, so it's there. It's in my collection. I'm just waiting for an opportunity, for sure.
Michael, what's the game you're anticipating?
So we're doing all 5, or we're just doing?
So let's do one at a time. We'll go around.
One at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. I will go in order. With my number 5 would be Horizon Forbidden West. I played the first one, and I didn't beat it, but I just enjoyed it so much. The originality of it, the graphics. Oh my God, it's such a beautiful game. It was very original, and I love original games that just tries something new and take a chance. The fact that you can use like tools, your arsenal to like defeat the mech dinosaurs whether it's by trapping them or just sneaking up on them, or so many different ways you could attack in the game. I love games like that. Again, beautiful. I can't wait to see what it's gonna look like in PS5.
Me too.
It's gonna be unbelievable. Man, I can't wait for that. So yeah, that'll be my number 5 for sure.
What about you, Cam?
Actually, I'm gonna piggyback right off of Michael. That was actually mine as well for Horizon Forbidden West. I'm not gonna go wax poetic on this because I feel like Michael did a good job summing up everything that's great about the game.
For sure.
Very excited for it. We're only a couple months away. I'm still holding hope that we get it in February, but I don't know. Part of me deep down inside thinks that it might be pushed back to March. I think it'll be pushed back to March. That's just, I have this mommy feeling that that's going to happen. But I'm still holding fast that we are going to get it in February. Very excited about that.
Yeah.
What does the audience have to say?
So this is going to be funny. Our first one is from Terry, and he says the new Horizon game. Horizon Forbidden West. And he also gives a shout out to the Breath of the Wild sequel, but yeah, Horizon Forbidden West is universally, because it is my next one as well. So 4 in a row, Horizon Forbidden West. I am so excited for Horizon Forbidden West. Zero Dawn was one of my favorite games last gen, like top 3 for me last gen. So I love Aloy, love that world that they built. So definitely, yeah, echoing everything that you've all said. So, Michael, what's your 4th most anticipated game?
Okay, let's see if we keep that synergy. I don't know. Yeah. I love it. For me is a Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. Okay. The first one in 2017 was one of my favorite games of the year. What I love about it is that Nintendo decided to like take a chance with Zelda and go open world and just kind of have like a sandbox feel for it, and I love that. The only thing I would say about the first one was the fact that the weapons would break every like 5 swings, which was ridiculous, right? Yeah. And stuff like that, with just little nitpicks. But other than that, the world was, and actually the other thing was the story. The story wasn't like the greatest. Like it wasn't mind blowing. It was like bare minimum, but the graphics very unique. The music, the art style, even though the combat, like the weapons would break, the combat felt good. Just attacking enemies again, just kind of like Horizon, where it's like you, however you want to do it, you could attack. There was one time where I like dropped a boulder from the top of a hill and it rolled down and it crashed on a camp and it defeated all the enemies. Little moments like that in gaming is just it's very magical. And Zelda, Breath of the Wild had a lot of like magical moments like that. And 100%. So the sequel, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Cayman, what's your next one?
My next one is going to be God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
God of War, I think, was also one of the greatest games to come out on the PlayStation 4. And that was a huge lineup to choose from there. But God of War Ragnarok 2, or God of War Ragnarok, I can't speak enough on just the little bit we've seen, just how incredible it looks.
Yeah.
Like if it can capture the magic from the reboot, then I think we're in good hands. I trust Cory Barlog with my life, and so I feel like we'll be totally fine with it. That's going to be mine.
Our next audience one comes from Elliot, our sweet, handsome Elliot, friend of the show. He echoes Michael and says, "Every day I don't have Breath of the Wild 2 is a day that hurts me," which is very funny. And also, I agree. I actually don't have Breath of the Wild 2 on my list, but it's up there. Like I think the only reason it's not on my list is because I'm still not convinced that it's coming out in 2022, even though they say it will. Because I expect that game to be so big that, and we've still only seen a little bit of it, that I will be, it's probably going to come out, but I have that same kind of feeling that Cayman has. That I just don't know that it's going to come next year. But it is definitely, one of my, it didn't make my cut, but it's definitely one of my most anticipated. One of my most anticipated is a game. I'm not sure either of you, if either of you know much about this little title called Marvel's Wolverine.
Whoa!
This was announced. When was it? Yeah, it's going to be Insomniac. This was announced during a State of Play, I think. It was
in September.
I think
September
so.
State of Play.
Same studio that did Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales and Ratchet and Clank. Like they're on a streak right now of delivering hit after hit. And Spider-Man, one of my favorites of last generation, and Wolverine is just one of my favorite comic book characters. So I'm really excited to see what type of a Wolverine story they want to tell. Like, is it going to be a super gritty Wolverine? Is it going to be more of like a X-Men the animated series, like a little bit for kids too? So he's not going to be super gritty. Like I'm really interested to see the take they have on Wolverine, and I know the gameplay is going to feel unreal because they're so good at making games that feel amazing. So I'm really excited for.
Hey Patrick, have you ever seen? Have you ever listened to the audio? The Marvel Wolverine audio kind of audio book that they have. It's fantastic. Yes. Yeah. Highly.
Is this like an Audible situation?
It's I think it's free, so you could just any podcast.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you look it up, Marvel's. I forget what it's called. Just look up Marvel Wolverine, like Google, and then podcast or pod or something or audio.
I will definitely.
And it's very gritty, like detective, almost like Serial. And, so it's very dark, and he's kind of like solving a mystery, solving a murder mystery type of. And he's Wolverine, and you get a lot of the high like quality like audio with like sound effects, and the voice acting is great. Actually, the guy who plays from The Hobbit, what's the main dwarf, the king. That actor.
What is his? Yeah, I know. His name is escaping me. But I know who you're talking about.
But yeah, so The Hobbit had like you had like the dwarves, and then you had I forget his name, the Hobbit, and then the main dwarf. He was that character who's like the king of the dwarves. He's like the main guy. He plays Wolverine, and he plays him really, really well. The gritty voice, just like if you close your eyes, imagine Wolverine. Yeah, he's that, and then it's like a New Orleans setting, and
that's really cool.
And he's trying to be under the radar, but he gets caught up in this murder mystery type of thing, and it's fantastic.
That's really cool. So, what's your next game, Michael?
Oh, mine. Let's see. I was just looking up the Marvel's Wolverine, Marvel, and Stitcher. So those were the.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, those are the things. So number 3, I guess we're up to number 3, right?
Yep.
That'll be Elden Ring.
Sure.
Yeah. So the recent gameplay trailer. Oh man, have you guys seen it?
Yeah.
So fantastic. Like I love George R.R. Martin and Game of Thrones and stuff like that, and I think he's a fantastic storyteller. And so him and From Software and their Dark Souls, coming together to make a baby, Elden Ring baby. Yeah. I love Dark Souls. I'm not the best. I've never been a game, right? I've never been any of them. I'm not great at it, but
don't worry, me either.
Yeah. But I really appreciate the art form. Like the fact that that you kind of have to learn how to get better at it, and you just have to get better by playing it, and it'll reward you, and that's how the gameplay works, and I love it. And so that with the storytelling of George R.R. Martin, and then the world building, and just how open it is this time around, I can't wait for it.
For sure.
Coming out soon, a couple
months. It almost made my list for sure. I'm excited about that. I know Cayman's not a big Souls guy, but I've become a Souls guy in the last year or so. So I think I might take the plunge and actually try Sekiro again. So I'm excited for Elden Ring. Nice. But Cayman, what's your next game?
My next game is going to be Pokemon Arceus. The reason I selected this game mainly is because it's going back in time to a world that's much more simpler, where there's no rampant child abuse taking place in Pokemon.
We'll
there's
see.
still potentially is. No, Pokemon Arceus it's apparently going to be one of the first like open world Pokemon games. It's apparently more open world than Sword and Shield were, but there's still going to be like localized areas. The gameplay they've shown off looks incredibly cool. I love the idea of that actually going back in time. Instead of it being like, oh, well, here we're going to introduce a new region in the Pokemon world. Like we're actually going to go back. So this is before, there's no like, this isn't where you're not going to have these high tech cities or things like that. They're very mum on details about what the story is going to be, but we do know that it's going to be like, I think it's set like 1,000 years in the past.
Wow.
So it'll be a very interesting take on Pokemon. And that's just something I'm excited to see, is something new from the series. And so that's why I've got it on my list.
Yeah, that's going to be the first Pokemon game in a long time where like I'm getting that one day one, just because it's a new, they're making a new type of game. It's not just the same thing that they've been making for a while. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Our next audience one is from Skylar, friend of the show. He says the new Mass Effect game, which also very excited for. Final Fantasy VII Remake 2, the second part of that game, and then Marvel's Spider-Man 2 are the three that he gave. So all of those, not as much for me for Final Fantasy VII because I still need to finish the first remake. But that's
so good.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, I need to give it another shot. My next one though it's a game that I'm cautiously optimistic for, but very highly anticipating is Gotham Knights, which is the next game from. This actually is not Rocksteady that's making it, who years ago made the Batman Arkham series, so Arkham Asylum.
This
Arkham
is what
City.
WB Montreal.
This is WB Montreal. They're the ones that did Arkham Origins, which was like the one spin-off game of that franchise, which I still thought was great. It gets a lot of hate that I don't think is fair.
Agree.
But yeah, I am, like I said, cautiously optimistic, but I love Batman. I love the style of those games, and they're telling a cool story. They're telling the story of oh my god, now the name is escaping me, the Court of Owls, which is a really cool Batman story that hasn't been told much outside of the comic. Like I don't think there's an adaptation on like animation or any of that, so excited to see a take on that story. So that's my next one. Michael, what's your second most anticipated game?
Yeah, so that would be God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, for sure.
Naturally. It's up there. The first one, game of the year for me, 2018. One of the best father-son like stories of all time for me. Sure. The gameplay was fantastic. The story, the world. Like you said, Corey, I trust in Corey. Although he's not directing the second one.
Yeah, he's not the game director this time around.
He's not. I'm sure he's like much involved. And,
and he's got his little hands in this.
Yeah. I'm sure it's. I trust in him. So, the world of the first one. Oh my goodness, it was fantastic. I love that they took a chance switching up the way it was like into like Norse mythology versues Greek mythology. I love that game. I love the first one. I can't wait for the next one. Please don't delay it, guys. 2022 God of War. Let's go.
What about you, Cayman?
All right, my next one up is going to be the Saints Row reboot. It's been a hot minute since we've gotten a new Saints Row game. From what we've seen, screenshots and brief teaser for it. It looks like it's going to be another Saints Row game, which I think is fantastic. In a world full of GTA clones, be a Saints Row game. Yeah, put that on the back of the box too.
I'm interested to see how this one shakes out. I've never been a big Saints Row guy, so I'm interested to see where. But the trailer for this one, the announcement trailer, got me excited. So I'm interested to see where that goes. I'll go through the last two from the audience real quick. First one is Malik the Kid says the new Slime Rancher. Not gonna lie, didn't know there was a new Slime Rancher game, but I we'll look into it. And then the final one, this is from Jade Suits. If you're listening, Jade Suits, she or he says Resident Evil 3 remake. And I have really great news for you. The game is out and you can go play it right now.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's currently on sale for $15. So
I'm sure.
Wow.
It's pretty good.
Out, but it's already on sale.
One of my favorite games, from a few years ago was the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like 3 as much as 2, but I still enjoyed 3 quite a bit. So go check it out.
3. 2 was one of the best of the year.
Oh god, it was so good.
For me, that year Final Fantasy etched it out, but for it to be like just a remake of a game that came out years ago, it did really well. Like they did that game a lot of justice.
100%. Yeah. My final one, the game that I am most anticipated for right now, has a release date of November 11th, 2022, and that game is Starfield, which is being produced by Bethesda Game Studios. I really love any game they make, and right now, as I mentioned at the top of the show, I'm finally going through Skyrim. I went through Skyrim the first time on PS3, but I mentioned this a couple episodes ago. When it came out on PS3, it was just riddled with so many game-breaking bugs that I ended up just never finishing it. So I'm finally going back and giving it the full playthrough it deserves. And I'm reminded how good Bethesda is at making video games, and I cannot wait for Starfield. So definitely up there for me. Michael, what's your most anticipated game? I have a guess as to what it is, but go ahead.
Oh wait, okay. So actually, I'm going to echo what you just said.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's not going to actually be Fable, because I want to keep this more like 2022. Fable's up there, but I feel like
I was thinking you were going to say Halo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that is like, I don't know. I guess it's because it's right around the corner.
Right, you're right.
Yeah. So Halo, I think is too close. I can't wait for that game, and Fable, I think is too far.
Sure.
So, just like the Three Bears, you want to find what's in the middle. For me, it's going to be Starfield. I cannot wait to play that game. I'm begging for them to release it in 2022 and not delay it.
Yeah.
If it gets delayed, I totally get it.
It's going to get
delayed. Just don't do it. But, okay, so Skyrim, you know how you have a list of like your favorite games of all time, right? And for me, games kind of like move a little bit. 1 year is this one, another year. Skyrim right now is my GOAT. Skyrim right now is my favorite game of all time. Every once in a while, I'll think about it randomly. That's when you know a game is special, right? You have, for sure. Even though I haven't played it, I've played the one on Game Pass. Not the new one that came out, the anniversary edition, the special edition, I guess. And it still feels so good to play. This the graphics looks really good actually on the Series X, and you walk around and you just get lost, and that game is so magical in so many ways. It was one of those first games that make you feel okay to like fantasy stuff like that, and be proud to say like, hey, I'm a Skyrim fan. I used to like have the album. The soundtrack was so amazing. I would listen to just Skyrim in my car and just listen to that incredible like orchestra, and just pumps you up, makes you want to like be like put on a suit of armor and like fight a dragon, right? So take that like love for a game and love for a company like Bethesda, like you said, and just now bring it to the stars. And recently Todd Howard just came out with like a little mini documentaries, like 7 minutes long on Twitter, and he talks about how passionate he is for this project, and it just hypes me up. It just makes me so happy that that he gets to continue doing what he loves to do, and making video games and just creating art, because that's what it is. It's like moving pieces of art,
for sure.
And it's definitely up there, my number one most anticipated game. Can't wait.
You have great taste, Michael. Cameron, what's your most anticipated game?
The audience is going to love this one. I am leaving my number 5 slot open as one obligatory mystery game that will eventually be announced at some point that I don't know of happening yet. There's going to be a game that's going to be announced at the Game Awards that no one has any fucking idea what it's going to be. But when it gets announced, we're all going to lose our collective minds. That's the game that I'm most anticipating. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
give me some Geoff Keighley.
Yeah, I mean, Keely's always, hyping up his own show. Of course he is. He wants people to come watch. But the things that he's saying about this Game Awards, I'm like, what do you have up your sleeve, Keely?
There's going to be one there. And now what I love about this is that there's probably going to be one there for each of us to get super excited about.
Yeah, for
sure. But for me, there's going to be one there that I'm going to lose my absolute mind over. And I'm going to be like screaming at my fiance, being like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And she's going to be like, what the fuck are you doing?
I am really looking forward to the episode post Game Awards so we can just
it's going to be a wild
freak out over what was announced. He said something on Twitter the other day. He's like, there is an announcement that we have cooking for Game Awards that we've been working over 2 years on. And I'm like, Keely, you're getting
you're killing me here.
You're getting me riled up, man.
Yeah. Wait, when is the awards? Just to
it's not this Thursday, but next Thursday. So a week from tomorrow, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget. My calendar's not in front of me. I don't know what day that is, but a week this comes out on Thursday, so a week from today when you're listening.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Well, folks, this was a long one, but I think a great one. Michael, thank you for joining. I'm glad that we were able to finally have you on. We're gonna definitely have you back if you're willing.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for coming on. Go ahead and share one more time how people can listen to your podcast, how they can follow you on Twitter and all that stuff.
Sure. I just want to say thank you so much for having me. It's an incredible honor. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Caitlin. So my podcast is Gamers University Podcast. You can find it on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast. And it's right now it's audio. I'm kind of lazy on the video portion of it because I do have the video portions. It's just I haven't uploaded it on.
Sure.
But send me a message if you really want to see the video version of it. I'll definitely put that on top of my list of things to do. You can follow me on Twitter, which is where I'm at in terms of the gaming community, which is fantastic. Toon_medic. So it's TOON_MEDIC. And just send me a message or DM or anything like that. And I would love to speak to you about games. And if you want to be on my show, please just hit me a message and we could set that up. And if if you have a job interesting job that you want to talk about, love to have you on.
That's awesome.
And
Before we do the outro with our handles, Cayman, I know there's something that you want to share with the audience. An announcement, as it were. So go ahead and take it away, sir.
Indeed, we do. We have a huge announcement for everybody listening. Keep your eyes peeled on our social media in the next couple of days. Reason being is we're going to be doing a special giveaway. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but if you keep your eyes on socials, we're going to be giving something away. So tune in there. We'll have more details. I'm very excited about this. We'll just call it a little Christmas present for our listener. So, so just like I said, keep your eyes peeled, and Santa loves Patrick's big ass.
My birthday was last week, and I got this sweater for as a birthday present. It says, thank you. For our audio listeners, it says, Santa loves my big ass. Which, if you don't know me in person, I got a juicy butt.
He's got a orangutan donk. The thing's got miniature moons orbiting its.
My entire, not even adult life, from the time I was like 16 and above, I have gotten comments on my ass 6 days a week, like clockwork. So
here's a friend of mine. Well, we're actually giving away Patrick's ass.
No, that's not like something we're giving away. That's going to cost you. That's going to cost you. So my friends, my countrymen, my sweet listeners, we'd love it if you followed and rated our podcast, Spot Games Pod on Twitter, Spotlight Games Podcast on Instagram. And again, we're on YouTube, and we'd love it if you'd subscribe. Right now, we're somewhere in the 20s realm of subscribers, but I really want to get us to 100 so that I can change our godforsaken URL. So it's not a bunch of letters and numbers. So I can do youtube.com/Spotlight Games. But you can't do it until you have 100 freaking subscribers because Google has too much power. So go subscribe. We'd really love it if you would do that. If for no other reason than for my ego, so I can change our URL. If you want to be on the show, email us, DM us. You can follow me on Twitter at Patrick Schwag. You can follow Cayman on Twitter at Kid Cayman. And I think that's it. You know, we're officially in December, which is my favorite month because I'm a big lover of Christmas. And as we just discussed, Santa loves my big ass. So I'm sure we'll be doing some Christmas content throughout the month of December. And we'd love for you to follow us on all those socials and follow the podcast so that you can be along for that sweet, sweet ride. So again, thank you, Michael, for being on our show. Really loved having you on. I'm sure we'll have you on again soon. And for everyone else, we'll see you on that flip-flop.
Love you guys.